Hi everyone, welcome to Arpita Sharma classes. I am Arpita Sharma, your educator, and today we are going to cover up the weekly current affairs from the Hindu newspaper from the Indian Express for 21st till 25th September 2020. I welcome you all to Arpita Sharma classes. आज हम 21st से 25th September 2020 का जो important current affairs रहे हैं उनको cover करने जा रहे हैं. Right, we're going to cover the most important current affairs in this time period, the weekly current affairs. All the important updates we are going to cover up from both prelims and mains perspective. राइट तो हम प्रीलिम्स और मेंस दोनों ही पर्सपेक्टिव से कवर करेंगे करंट अफेयर्स सो दैट इट विल बिकम वेरी इजी फॉर यू टू रिवाइज एंड ऑल्सो एट द एंड ऑफ द क्लास आई एम गोइंग टू गिव यू सम प्रीलिम्स एंड मेंस रिलेटेड क्वेश्चंस आल्सो टू सॉल्व राइट एज होमवर्क के तौर पे मैं आपको प्रीलिम्स और मेंस रिलेटेड क्वेश्चंस भी देने वाली हूँ सॉल्व करने के लिए क्लास के एंड में. ठीक है, तो चलो लेट्स स्टार्ट द क्लास देन. क्लास शुरू करते हैं विदाउट एनी डिले. Now the very first important current affair is जो सबसे पहला important current affair है, this is important from GS paper 2's perspective, mains and also from prelims perspective. Prelims के लिए भी ये बहुत ज़्यादा important है. So you have to make down the notes, you have to note down the important updates accordingly, right? So first of all the news is Delhi High Court steps in to bridge digital divide. Bridge means to fill in the gap. इसको please लिख लीजिए. To fill in the gap. You can use this word instead of this sentence in your answer writing also, right? तो gap को fill करने के लिए हम क्या बोलते हैं? Bridge बोलते हैं. That we are going to bridge the digital divide. जो भी digital divide है society में, right, among the students, the rural and urban areas, we are going to bridge that. We are going to fill in the gap. Delhi High Court has stepped in. So to reduce the gap between learning experiences of children from economically weaker sections and relatively privileged children, Delhi High Court has stepped in. दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट ने क्या किया है आप सभी को पता है. अब ये कोरोना वायरस के चक्कर में स्कूल्स बंद हैं, राइट, जिस वजह से ऑनलाइन क्लासेस चल रही हैं. तो ऑनलाइन क्लासेस में भी ना हर एक के पास मोबाइल फोन्स, एंड्रॉइड्स या हर एक के पास लैपटॉप्स, कंप्यूटर्स, टैबलेट्स नहीं होते हैं, राइट. नॉट एवरीबडी इन द सोसाइटी हैज मोबाइल फोन्स, लैपटॉप्स और टैबलेट्स एंड बिकॉज ऑफ दैट इट्स गेटिंग वेरी डिफिकल्ट for the students from the economically weaker sections to access education in this current pandemic, right? So High Court bench stated that to separate the EWS DG students from others in the same class due to non-availability of a gadget or device would generate a feeling of inferiority as to their status in the class that may affect their hearts and minds unlikely ever to be undone. That is very very correct. हाईकोर्ट बेंच ने कहा है कि देखिए एक ही क्लास में जरूरी नहीं है सभी बच्चे अपर क्लास फैमिली से आते हैं. अलग अलग क्लास, मिडिल क्लास, लोअर क्लास, EWS, राइट, हर क्लास से बच्चे होते हैं. सम स्टूडेंट्स दे कैन अफोर्ड टू गेट द गैजेट और डिवाइस टू वॉच द ऑनलाइन क्लासेस, सम कैन नॉट, बिकॉज ऑफ विच देयर विल बी अ वेरी डीप डेंट इन द हार्ट्स एंड माइंड्स ऑफ द स्टूडेंट्स बिलोंगिंग टू EWS, right, category. So all the private and government schools opting for online mode of education has to provide students belonging to EWS and disadvantaged group, that is the DG group, gadgets and free internet package. That is a wonderful decision taken by Delhi High Court. दिल्ली हाई कोर्ट ने यह डिसीजन लिया है कि स्कूल्स जो कि ऑनलाइन मोड ऑफ एजुकेशन प्रोवाइड करा रहे हैं उनको EWS और DG ग्रुप के जो बच्चे हैं उनको फ्री गैजेट्स और फ्री इंटरनेट पैकेज प्रोवाइड कराना पड़ेगा. Not providing necessary facility to EWS and DG, it's a violation of Section 3812 of the Right to Education Act 2009. Very, very important for prelims and GS paper 2. And articles 14, 20 and 21 of the Constitution, again prelims and GS paper 2 के लिए ये बहुत important है, as well as the essay. Now, you can expect a question on right to education, the education accessibility to the EWS and DG students in essay paper till the year 2023. 2023 तक. अब देखो ये पैंडेमिक पहली बार ऐसा कुछ हुआ है पूरे वर्ल्ड में, राइट. तो इसीलिए 2023 तक ऐसे में राइट टू एजुकेशन से रिलेटेड, डिजिटल डिवाइड से रिलेटेड क्वेश्चन आपको आ सकता है. सो बी प्रिपेयर्ड अकॉर्डिंगली, राइट. सो व्हाट आर द मेजर्स व्हिच आर टेकन? The court has ordered the formation of 3-member committee including central and Delhi education secretaries to expedite and streamline the process of identifying and supplying the gadgets to poor and disadvantaged students. Private unaided schools will be entitled to claim reimbursement of reasonable cost for procurement of gadget and internet package. The government is going to provide them reimbursement also when they are going to give the free internet package and free gadget to the EWS or DG category students. ओके क्लियर। तो गवर्नमेंट इन प्राइवेट अनएडेड स्कूल्स को भी रीइंबर्समेंट कॉम्पनसेशन प्रोवाइड करेगी अगर ये ईडब्ल्यूएस या डीजी ग्रुप के स्टूडेंट्स को फ्री इंटरनेट पैकेज या फिर कह सकते हैं फ्री गैजेट्स प्रोवाइड करेंगे, ठीक है। नाउ लेट अस अंडरस्टैंड द राइट्स टू एजुकेशन एक्ट 2009। The act makes education a fundamental right of every child between the age group of 6 to 14 and specifies minimum norms in elementary schools. इतनी बात सबको समझ आ गई? So now the first question that comes in our mind is what is Right to Education Act? अब ये है क्या? Right. So it provided free and compulsory education to children in 2009 and enforced it as a fundamental right under Article 21A. Remember this for prelims. इसको जरा prelims के लिए याद रखिएगा, ठीक है? This is important for prelims. It's a fundamental right under Article 21A. Now the next question is why right to education? When we talk about why, जब हम question पढ़ते हैं why this right to education? The right to education, it serves as a, write it down, it serves as a building block, right? This right to education serves as a building block to ensure that every child has his or her right to get a quality elementary education, right? So that is why it's a building block. Now one by one, let's understand the constitutional background of Right to Educational Act. So when we talk about the constitutional background, जब हम constitutional background की बात करते हैं, so originally, please write it down and make this flowchart as well. Originally, this right to education, originally the part 4 of Indian Constitution, Article 45 and Article 39F of DPSP, they had a provision for state funded as well as equitable and accessible education. Originally, DPSPs in the part 4 of the Indian Constitution, it had two articles, Article 45 and Article 39F. And both these articles had the provision that there should be equitable education to everyone, accessible education for everyone, and it should be state funded. Clear? इतनी बात सबको समझ आ गई? Now, following this particular step of Article 45 and Article 39 of DPSP, the first official document on right to education was Ramamurthy Committee Report in 1990. 1990 में रामामूर्ति कमेटी रिपोर्ट पब्लिश हुई जो कि पहला डॉक्यूमेंट था राइट टू एजुकेशन के ऊपर. एंड इन 1993 आफ्टर 3 years देयर वाज अ केस यूनिकृष्णन जेपी वर्सेस स्टेट ऑफ आंध्र प्रदेश एंड अदर्स wherein Supreme Court passed a very landmark judgment and it held that education is now a fundamental right flowing from Article 21, taking its power from the Article 21. Now, moving on, after 6 years, 1999, Tapas Majumdar Committee was set up and this committee inserted Article 21A. Okay, clear? Now, these facts are not just important for essay or GS paper 2, but also for your prelims. They can ask you in which year Tapas Majumdar Committee was established. They can ask you Article 21A was inserted in the Constitution after the recommendation of which committee? That is the Tapas Majumdar Committee. They can ask you when did the Supreme Court passed a judgment of making education a fundamental right, or from where education as a fundamental right derives its powers from, that is from Article 21. They can also ask you about the Ramamurthy Committee report. It is based on what? They can give you 4 options. It is based on right to education. Clear? Now moving ahead, there was this 86th amendment to the Constitution of India which was made in the year 2002. Okay? Now this 86th amendment to the Constitution of India, it basically provided right to education as a fundamental right in part 3 of the Constitution. Okay? And the same amendment inserted Article 21A which made a right to education a fundamental right for the children below the age group of 6 to 14 years. And this 86th amendment provided for a follow-up legislation for Right to Education Bill 2008 and finally Right to Education Act of 2009. Clear? So this is the constitutional background of Right to Education Act 2009. I hope this is pretty much clear for all of you. So let's understand the features of Right to Education Act of 2009. The Right to Education Act aims to provide primary education to all children aged 6 to 14 years. The words that I am underlining are very important for prelims. They can confuse you. Right, so it provides primary education, right? Primary, वो secondary education लिख सकते हैं. It is primary education, right, to all children aged 6 to 14 years, and it enforces education एज अ फंडामेंटल राइट। एजुकेशन एक फंडामेंटल राइट है, इसको प्लीज याद रखिएगा प्रीलिम्स के लिए, प्लीज रिमेंबर इट फॉर प्रीलिम्स। Now, it lays down certain norms, rules, regulation, and standards related to pupil-teacher ratios. What is PTR? It is, write it down, pupil-teacher ratios. That means how many students will be under one teacher, right? एक टीचर के अंडर कितने स्टूडेंट्स आएंगे, ये सारी बातें इसमें लिखी हुई हैं. Building infrastructure, school working days, teacher working hours. It lays down the norms and standards related to this. And also the act mandates 25% reservation. Underline this and remember it for prelims. 25% reservation for the disadvantaged sections of society, which are SCs and STs, socially backward classes, differently abled classes. So it also makes provision for non-admitted child to be admitted to an age-appropriate class. And earlier it had a clause of no detention policy, which is now removed. अब इस clause को remove कर दिया है. Under the right to of children to free and compulsory education act of 2019, this clause has been removed. So overall, it focuses on making the child free of fear, trauma, anxiety through a system of child-friendly and child-centered learning. Clear? Now further, we know that Right to Education Act has successfully managed to increase the enrollment in upper primary level. Upper primary level is class 6 to class 8. And there have been other set of initiatives also which were launched by government. For example, the Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan. It's an integrated scheme for school education, and it subsumes the three schemes of school education, that is SSA, Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, RMSA, Rashtriya Madhyamak Shiksha Abhiyan, and CSSTE, that is centrally sponsored scheme on teacher education. Okay, so these are another set of initiatives which are relevant for your prelims taken by the government to improve the education in India. Now the next important news, Samarth scheme for textile sector. The Ministry of Textile is implementing the Samarth scheme. Underline the ministry which is implementing it. Samarth scheme is being implemented by the Ministry of Textiles for capacity building in textile sector. Right, ये तीन चीजें याद रखनी है. In prelims they can give you the name of the scheme, then they will ask you the ministry which is implementing the scheme. So Samarth scheme, it is for the textile sector, for building up the capacity in the textile sector, and it is launched by Ministry of Textile. It is also known as CSCBTS, Scheme for Capacity Building in the Textile Sector. Underline this, again important for prelims. ये news आपके prelims के लिए बहुत important है. If you are giving 2020, 2021, 2022 or 2023, 2024, still this particular scheme is important. Remember the name and the aim of the scheme. It was approved by Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs in 2017 in order to ensure steady supply of skilled manpower in labor-intensive textile sector. Now, which are the implementing agencies of this scheme? Again, important for prelims. Implementing, जो कि इसको implement करेंगी. First is the textile industry. Second is Ministry of Textile, and different institution and organization which are working under Ministry of Textile. Then reputed training institutions, different NGOs, trust organizations, startups, they are also going to help in implementing this particular scheme. Clear? So what are the objectives of this scheme? It will provide demand-driven placement-oriented national skill qualification framework which is compliant skilling programs to create jobs in the organized textile and related sectors, right? And it is also going to promote skill and upgradation and trainings, right? Necessary trainings which are required to be given or imparted in the textile sector. So this scheme will come under GS paper 2, right? Welfare schemes and GS paper 3 also, biotechnology, right? Now the Samarth scheme, so far we have studied, it is under the Ministry of Textiles and it was approved by Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs. The objective is to cover the entire value chain of textile excluding the spinning and weaving. So you have to remember that also. आपको ये भी याद रखना है कि एक्सक्लूडिंग क्या है, स्पिनिंग एंड वीविंग. पूरे टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्री को वैल्यू चेन प्रोवाइड किया जाएगा एक्सक्लूडिंग स्पिनिंग एंड वीविंग. प्लीज राइट इट डाउन, दिस इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर प्रीलिम्स. इसको प्लीज अंडरलाइन कर लो, ये प्रीलिम्स के लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है. दे कैन गिव यू द स्टेटमेंट इंक्लूडिंग, इंक्लूडिंग विल बी रॉन्ग, इट इज एक्सक्लूडिंग. स्पिनिंग और वीविंग को एक्सक्लूड करके बाकी सभी एरियाज में वैल्यू चेन को इंप्रूव करने की कोशिश की जाएगी. ओके, क्लियर? नाउ नेक्स्ट इज ब्लू फ्लैग इंटरनेशनल इको लेबल. This is very important from GS paper 3's perspective. Now, we know that on the eve of International Coastal Cleanup Day, which is celebrated across 100 countries since 1986, Union Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change announced at a virtual event that for the first time, 8 beaches of India, underline first time, how many beaches? 8 beaches of India are recommended for coveted international eco label, that is the blue flag certification. पहली बार ऐसा हो रहा है कि इंडिया के, भारत के 8 बीचेस को हम ब्लू फ्लैग सर्टिफिकेशन के लिए उनका नाम रिकमेंड किया गया है, राइट. सो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल वी शुड अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज ब्लू फ्लैग. ये लेबल है क्या? व्हाट इज दिस स्टेटस? व्हाट इज दिस टैग? प्लीज राइट इट डाउन. It is one of world's most recognized voluntary eco-labels which is awarded to beaches, marinas and sustainable boating tourism operators. And in order to qualify for the blue flag, a series of very strict environmental, educational, safety and accessibility criteria must be met and maintained. This blue flag program for beaches and marinas, it is run by the International Non-Governmental Non-Profit Organization, which is FEE, the Foundation for Environmental Education. यही है जो कि ब्लू फ्लैग सर्टिफिकेशन, जो ब्लू फ्लैग प्रोग्राम है उसको रन करता है. एंड दिस FEE, that is the Foundation for Environmental Education, it was established in France in the year 1985. Okay. Over here you can see what is a blue flag beach. A beach with blue flag certification awarded for all round high quality is known as blue flag beach. 13 Indian beaches across Odisha, Maharashtra, Goa, Puducherry, Daman, Diu, Lakshadweep, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, they have been selected for certification this year. And 1 in every 6 beach with blue flag status worldwide, they are in Spain. So you can say Spain tops the list. This is again important for prelims. Which country tops the list of blue flag certification? It is Spain. There are total 566 beaches in Spain, right? This is first position. Second position is of Greece and third position is of France, right? In Greece, there are 515 beaches which are being given the blue flag certification, and in France there are 395 beaches which have been given the blue flag certification. Chandrabhaga beach of Odisha's Konark coast is the first to complete the tag certification process. Again, very important. Okay, and Japan and South Korea are the only countries in South and Southeastern Asia to have the blue flag beaches. Again, very important. फिर से ये बहुत important है. देखो FEE के बारे में यहाँ पर mentioned है. ठीक है, just note it down. This very important. Coming on to the next topic, Foreign Contribution Regulation Amendment Bill 2020. It has been introduced in the Lok Sabha and it also seeks to make significant, very important changes. It also seeks to make significant changes to Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, that is FCRA. So what are the proposed amendments in this bill? It seeks to prohibit the public servants from receiving any foreign funding. अगर आप एक public servant हो तो आपको foreign funding नहीं मिलेगी. You will be prohibited from receiving foreign funding. Right. It proposes to reduce the use of foreign funds to meet administrative cost by NGOs from the existing 50 to 20%. So whatever funds the NGOs are receiving, they can only use 20% of it to spend to meet their administrative cost. It seeks to prohibit any transfer of foreign contribution to any association or person. आपको foreign contribution मिला है तो आप उसको किसी भी association या person पे को transfer नहीं कर सकते. For the purpose for which you have received that funding, you have to utilize it for meeting that same purpose. It proposes to make Aadhaar cards a mandatory. Mandatory means कंपल्सरी. मैंडेटरी का मतलब क्या होता है? कंपल्सरी आइडेंटिफिकेशन डॉक्यूमेंट फॉर ऑल द ऑफिस बेयरर्स, डायरेक्टर्स एंड अदर की फंक्शनरीज in the NGOs or associations who are eligible to receive foreign donations. If you do not have Aadhaar card, you will not receive the foreign donations, right? Now, what are the controversial provisions in this particular amendment? To allow for central government to hold a summary inquiry to direct bodies with FCRA approval to not utilize the unutilized foreign contribution or receive the remaining portion of foreign contribution. Right, so this is controversial. Why central government is allowed to hold summary inquiry on the topic of not utilizing the unutilized foreign contribution, to limit the use of foreign funds for administrative purpose. This is going to impact the research purpose, research cost of the organization. आप administrative purpose के लिए ही foreign funds को use कर सकते हो. What about research? What about development? R&D का क्या होगा? Right? Without R&D, how can the NGO work properly? And main criticisms are the bill will enhance government power and restrict foreign funded civil society work in India. And when government interference is increased, then free will decreases. It can be used as a means to target those who speak against the government. अगर government interference increase कर दोगे तो government अपने मन चाहे कोई भी step ले सकती है, कोई भी decision ले सकती है. That will be wrong, right? Now the next important topic, next topic पे आ जाते हैं, Indo-Pacific Trilateral Dialogue. This is very important from GS paper 2's perspective and in prelims also it's going to be important. ठीक है? So recently India, Australia and France held a dialogue for the first time under a trilateral framework. Trilateral means when three parties are involved, in order to enhance cooperation in Indo-Pacific region. There are many things to remember in this particular news. First, that there are three countries involved in this trilateral dialogue. First is India, second is Australia and third is France. And this particular dialogue has been conducted for the first time. पहली बार ये dialogue हो रहा है, not for the second, third, 8th, 10th time, but for the first time. Why? To increase cooperation in the Indo-Pacific region. That is why the name is Indo-Pacific Trilateral Dialogue, right? And this dialogue will be held on an annual basis. That is, once in a year it will be conducted between India, Australia and France to talk about the enhancement of cooperation in the the Indo-Pacific region. And India also has logistic agreements with both countries, that is with both in Australian finance. We have our infrastructural agreements also. So that because of which it will become easy for all these three countries to discuss in a better way. The trilateral cooperation will help to take on China's aggressive behavior in the Indo-Pacific region. And it's in addition to an existing Quad group comprising of US, Japan, Australia and India. Right? Apart from Quad grouping, we are also having this trilateral dialogue with Australia and France. So this is very, very important because we all know that China is trying to aggressively, control the Indo-Pacific region. Aggressively from economic point of view, from administrative point of view, China is trying to take over the Indo-Pacific region. And to counter that step, that particular step, the countries having interest in the Indo-Pacific region, they must come together, right? Now important value additions in this point. This is the Indo-Pacific region. ये आपका Indo-Pacific region है. ठीक है? Please remember this for your GS paper 2 as well as prelims. GS paper 2 और prelims के लिए इसको आपको याद रखना है. ठीक है? Now Indo-Pacific region is very rich in terms of natural resource as well as marine resource and trade of major economies like China, Japan, Korea, right, and US. It goes through this particular region, and about 50% of India's trade is conducted through South China Sea in the Indo-Pacific region. That is why it's very important to counter Chinese presence in this region, right? The next important news, next आपकी news आ जाती है बहुत ही important, Indus Water Treaty. Now on this topic, question and prelims came in the year 2016. 2016 में and 2018 a question came. Now after 2 years gap, it can come in 2020 and 2022 also. Right, September 19th, it marks the 60th anniversary of Indus Water Treaty, which was signed between India and Pakistan. And who was the organization which made this treaty happen? It was World Bank. 1960 में क्या हुआ? World Bank interfered between India and Pakistan, and it made India and Pakistan sign this Indus Water Treaty, on which India and Pakistan were fighting. And September 19 was the historic day on which this treaty was signed. So it's been 60 years now, right? 60th anniversary now, right, between India and Pakistan. Treaty that is cited as an example of possibilities of peaceful coexistence that exist despite the troubled relationship between India and Pakistan. Right, now moving ahead about Indus Water Treaty. It's a water distribution treaty signed in Karachi in 1960 between India and Pakistan. At that time, the Pakistani president was Ayub Khan, and in India, Jawaharlal Nehru ji was our prime minister. And it was brokered by World Bank. Who interfered? World Bank. And who has control over what according to this treaty? Under the treaty, India has control over water flowing in the eastern rivers. India जो eastern river में waters है Indus river की, Beas, Ravi and Satluj, we have control over it, and Pakistan has the control over the western rivers, for example Indus, Chenab and Jhelum. Clear? So Beas, Ravi and Satluj, we have control over it, and Indus, Chenab and Jhelum, Pakistan has control over the waters of those rivers. Right? India is allowed to use 20% water of western rivers for irrigation purpose, for power generation, transport purpose. And the key features are, as per the treaty, water commissioners of Pakistan and India are required to meet twice a year and arrange technical visit to the project sites. Right? Clear? Now the next topic is universal eligibility condition. Recently, World Bank has clarified that $1 billion loan that it has provided to India in May 2020 to fight with COVID-19 comes with a condition of universal eligibility in procurement. So what is this universal eligibility condition? The World Bank would have the right to review procurement documents, inspect all the accounts, other files relating to the project. Whatever project we are going to undertake to fight with COVID-19, the World Bank, under this condition, universal eligibility condition, it will check all those documents prepared by India, it will inspect all the document reports and the other files. And compliance to these conditions has been made mandatory, that is compulsory for the funding. If we want to receive this $1 billion loan from World Bank, then we need to comply with the conditions which have been set up by the World Bank. Following the clarification, Indian government has also asked all its production units and other major establishments to remove preferential references in the tenders, because if they are not removed, World Bank's guidelines will be violated. It will not be opened up for World Bank, and then as a result, World Bank can back out in giving us this funding. What will be the impact of this condition? This would mean that all preferential market access policies shall not be applicable on purchases made while implementing the national project. What are preferential market access policies? It includes public procurement order, micro, small and medium enterprise policy, and certain other benefits which are given to the startups, and we have to take it down to follow this condition put up by the World Bank. It will be a setback to the Make in India and Atmanirbhar initiative as well. Right? We have to listen to World Bank. World Bank जहाँ बोलेगा वैसे हमें करना पड़ेगा, वहाँ से procure करना पड़ेगा. अपनी कुछ अलग से policies हम नहीं तैयार कर सकते. Right? So the World Bank announced this loan in May 2020 to prevent, detect and respond to the threat of coronavirus and to make the national health system stronger. It is pivoted towards migrants, unorganized workers, informal sector, etc. And this loan will be funded and operated in two phases. First phase will be immediate funding of $750 million will be given to us in the year 2020. And second phase, we will receive $250 million in 2021. Okay, so in two phases, the funding will be given to us. Now coming on to a very important topic, that is the Karutar 2020 rules. This is extremely important for your prelims. ये आपके prelims के लिए बहुत important है, तो इसको ढंग से पढ़ना है हमें. The Karutar rules 2020. Let's understand what is it. The Customs rules 2020, which is also known as Karutar 2020. ये क्या है? This is the Customs Rules 2020. It came into force on September 21. And what are these rules? They are guidelines, right, for allowing preferential rate on imports under free trade agreements. FTAs के बारे में आपने सुना होगा. Free trade agreements पे जो भी imports होते हैं उस पे एक preferential rate allow करने के लिए set of guidelines हैं. They are going to supplement the existing operational certification procedures which are prescribed under different trade agreements like free trade agreements, etc. Right? They were notified on 21st August and they have came into force after 1 month, that is on September 21st. ठीक है? Clear? So now according to this rule now, an importer is now required to do due diligence before importing the goods to ensure that they meet the prescribed originating criteria. And there will be a list of minimum information which the importer is required to have, right? Which is also provided in these rules, right? Clear? As general guidelines. And an importer would now have to enter certain origin related information in the bill of entry as available in the certificate of origin as well. So these rules are very important. These are important for prelims perspective. बहुत ज़्यादा important है prelims के perspective से, right? Basically these rules have been implemented in order to provide strict scrutiny of imports. Imports जो भी होते हैं ना उसको strictly scrutinize करने के लिए, किसी तरीके का misuse ना हो free trade agreement का, ये make sure करने के लिए ये rules तैयार किए गए हैं. ठीक है. National Action Plan for Drug Demand Reduction for 2018 to 25. The Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment has formulated and is implementing National Action Plan for Drug Demand Reduction for 2018-2025. So two things you have to remember over here. First is the ministry implementing this and the period of implementation. Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, it is formulating and implementing both. इसको बना भी रही है और implement भी कर रही है. What? The NAPDDR for 2018 till 25. The plan aims at reduction of adverse consequences. Adverse means negative consequences of drug abuse through a multi-pronged strategy. The activities under this plan will be include awareness generation programs in school, college and universities, start the workshops or seminars with parents, community-based peer-led interactions, provision for treatment facilities, provide whole range of community-based service for identification, motivation, counseling, de-addiction, etc. and rehabilitation also, right, for the addicts. Clear? इतनी बात सबको समझ आ गई. तो ये बहुत बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. वी ऑल नो नाउ दी एनसीबी हैज अरेस्टेड मेनी पीपल एंड इट इज इंक्वायरिंग मेनी पीपल इन द बॉलीवुड रिगार्डिंग दिस ड्रग अब्यूज केस. सो दैट इज व्हाई दिस एक्शन हैज बीन टेकन, राइट. और पहले से भी एक्शन रूल में था बट इसको इंक्रीज कर दिया गया है 2025 तक. Now coming on to PM Asha, very important for prelims. ये भी prelims के लिए काफी important है. The government has taken another giant leap towards boosting pro-farmer initiatives. Right, with the recent approval of umbrella scheme Pradhan Mantri Annadata Ay Sanrakshan Abhiyan, that is PM Asha, it is aimed towards ensuring remunerative prices to farmers for their produce, and government has taken many other steps also. There are three components in this scheme. First is price support scheme, second is price deficiency payment scheme, and third is pilot of private procurement and stockist scheme. Okay, and under this PM Asha, the states and union territories, they are offered to choose either PSS or PDPS in a given procurement season. Either you can choose price support scheme or you can choose price deficiency payment scheme. Only one scheme, that is either PSS or PDPS, may be made. आप फार्मर किसी एक स्कीम को चुन सकते हैं, या तो बेचने से पहले प्राइस सपोर्ट स्कीम, या ग्रेन्स को बेचने के बाद अगर लॉस हुआ है तो उसके लिए प्राइस डेफिशिएंसी पेमेंट स्कीम. ठीक है, क्लियर? Now, what is price support scheme? The Department of Agriculture and Cooperation implements the price support scheme. Underline this. Which department? Department of Agriculture and Cooperation, for procurement of oil seeds, pulses, cotton through National Agricultural Cooperative Marketing Federation of India, which is the central nodal agency at MSP, which is declared by government. Right? MSP पे इस स्कीम के तहत आप oil seeds, pulses, cotton खरीद सकते हो NAFED के द्वारा. Price deficiency payment scheme. This scheme is aimed at ensuring remunerative prices to farmers for their produce as announced in Union Budget of 2018. And what is pilot of private procurements and stockist scheme? Now here the private agencies will procure oil seeds in coordination with the government. Okay, clear? This is very very important. Now coming on to the Feluda test for COVID-19. Feluda is the acronym for FNCAS9, Editor Linked Uniform Detection Assay. It's a very accurate and low cost paper based test strip. This will give you the result if you are COVID positive or negative within 30 minutes, less than 30 minutes. And it was approved recently for commercial launch by Drugs Controller Journal of India, that is the DCGA. Now developed by Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, that is CSIR, and the Tata Group, very very important for prelims. It uses indigenously developed CRISPR gene editing technology. GS paper 3, CRISPR gene editing technology. A question in 2018 and 19 in prelims came on this technology. इस technology के ऊपर question भी आया है. And this is used to identify and target the genetic material of SARS-CoV-2, right, which causes the COVID-19. So what is the importance of this particular scheme? According to CSIR, the test matches accuracy levels of RT-PCR test. It has a quicker turnaround time and required less expensive equipment. And it is also world's first diagnostic test to use especially the adapted Cas9 protein to successfully detect the virus. So what is CRISPR? It's a gene editing technology. It corrects the genes defects in your body and it prevents the spread of disease in the body, and it allows researchers to easily alter or change the DNA sequences and modify the gene function in your body. This is very very important for your prelims. Okay, now let's have a look at the prelims related previous year question as your homework. You have to solve this in the comment section. Right to privacy is protected as an intrinsic part of right to life and personal liberty. Which of the following in the Constitution of India correctly and appropriately imply the above statement? Article 14 and provisions under 42nd Amendment to the Constitution. Article 17 and DPSP in Part 4. Article 21 and freedoms guaranteed in Part 3. Article 24 and provisions under 44th Amendment to the Constitution. So which statement is correct? You have to let me know in the comment section. This is your homework. ठीक है, ये आपका homework question है आज का. Question number 2. With reference to Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, consider the following statements. It's a flagship scheme of Ministry of Labour and Employment, and it, among the other things, will impart training in soft skills entrepreneurship. It aims to align the competencies of the unregulated workforce of country to national skill qualification framework. Which statement is correct? कौन सा statement correct है फटाफट से बताएं. In the comment section try to solve this question. इस question को solve करने की कोशिश कीजिएगा comment section में. Next question, which of the following, this question have been taken from 2018 pre, which one of the following is not a sub-index of World Bank's ease of doing business index? Maintenance of law and order, paying taxes, registering property, dealing with construction permits. Very easy, right? बहुत ही easy question है, ठीक है? Now this is the homework question for prelims. What do you mean by minimum support price? How will MSP rescue the farmers from the low income trap? So you can answer this in 150 words. 10 mark का question है. How do ocean currents and water masses differ in their impacts on marine life and coastal environment? Give suitable examples. 200 words का question है. 200 words में आपको answer देना है, right? So do practice these questions after attending this class. इस class को attend करने के बाद इस question को, इन दो questions को practice जरूर कीजिएगा, ठीक है? So on this note, we are wrapping up the session. You'll get the class PDF on my Telegram channel, that is Simplifying UPSC with Ease. इस Telegram channel पर आपको class का PDF मिल जाएगा, ठीक है? So on this note, we are wrapping up the session. Thank you everyone for participating in the class.